I had a strange dream. No, of course, being here in the camp was extremely strange by itself, incomparable with any normal nighttime dreams. However, in this dream everything seemed so real that... But when I woke up I couldn't remember a thing. There were only vague images of a long driveway, an old rusted bus, the rickety gates of the camp, collapsed statues of pioneers, and an abandoned square. I ran through Sovyanok back and forth as if trying to find someone. But exactly who remained a mystery to me. When I woke up, the sun was already setting. Oh, so it's evening already. Damn. A bright sunbeam was lighting up the dust drifting in the silence of the room and painting it with all the colors of the rainbow. Reflections of the glass took on a different outlines. Look from one angle and it's just a spot of sunlight. Look from another and it's a pirate waving its cutlass. I stretched lazily and yawned. Turning to the other side I saw Yulya, sleeping peacefully next to me. Good morning, said Yulya without opening her eyes. It's daytime already. Morning starts when you wake up. You're talking just the same way I did before. So now you changed your mind? Well, I don't know. During the last week I got used to getting up in the morning. That was not entirely true, because I didn't always wake up with the sunrise and regularly miss the lineups. You want to say that you changed? She giggled. I think any man in my position would change, at least a little. It seemed quite natural to me. Yes, perhaps. I won't argue. A long silence followed. The kind of silence where you are not tortured by the need to say something just to break the oppressive awkwardness. The silence could say more than any words. Well, we're leaving today, I asked finally. I think so. You think? You mean you're not even sure? Not completely. This is happening for the first time. You mean the disappearance of the pioneers? Not just that. She got out of her bed and started to dress. I looked at her mesmerized, unable to look away. What are you looking at? Get up, it's time to pack. You mean your berries and mushrooms? Of course. Yulya stood arms akimbo and looked at me resentfully. Do you want all my supplies to be gone? Of course I don't. To tell the truth, I didn't really give a damn about them. To be precise, I just don't see the point of stocking food for a one-way journey. At least without a return ticket for sure. A few minutes later we were standing in the same forest lane, where the day before Yulya had been sprinkling a mushroom with sugar. She went behind a tree, threw aside the leaves and pulled out a heavy sack. All this? This isn't all. This is just what's necessary. I couldn't put what I planned to say in a nice way, so I decided to say nothing. Finally! The sack was filled with mushrooms, berries, apples, nuts, all mixed up. I immediately had a serious doubts about the fitness for human consumption of this assorted lot. Take it, said Yulya, pointing at the sack with an easy smile. Well, I hope you understand I won't be able to... No, you're strong. Look at how massive you are. She used her hands to indicate that the difference in our heights. I tried to lift the sack. It weighed at least 30 kilos. God damn, that's a lot. Look, let's only take some of it. We won't be able to eat all this anyway. I was trying to cheat. Why not? Winters are long in these lands. How would you know that? I guessed. I tried to make the most painful grimace I could. I can manage it to the square at most. Have mercy on me. Yulya thought a little. Okay, then throw out the berries. What a great solution. Get rid of the lighter stuff. However, I didn't object and so put my hand into the sack. I can't say it got any lighter, I said when I finished with the berries. Dude, sorting out the berries must have taken hours, honestly. I don't want to hear it. I sighed and sank helplessly to the ground next to the sack. Let's carry it in turns. But it's heavy! Exclaimed Yulya. That's what I'm telling you. I mean, it's heavy for me. As if it's light for me. I muttered under my breath, trying to make Yulya not hear it. It is light for you. It seems I should not underestimate her cat ears. Okay, let's come back here later. For now it would be nice to have something to eat. Well, maybe. She smiled and held out her hand to me. The canteen was filled with the smell of fried potatoes. Yulya flitted around me, watching me cook. To tell the truth, I never found any special pleasure in doing this. I always wanted to start eating immediately, without waiting for all the ingredients to be prepared, the water to boil, the dumplings to float up. That's why I'm usually fine with eating sandwiches or fast food. You're doing so well. I told you there is nothing special to it. But, she tried to find words. But you're doing well anyway. I'm glad you like it. Of course I like it. Judging by the way Yulya was demolishing the potatoes, she actually enjoyed my simple culinary creation. Are you worried? Chew first, then speak. What a lout! You must behave in polite society. And what kind of society are we in here? Yulya spread her hands to the side and laughed. That was true. The canteen was empty. Just like the whole camp. What do you think? Where are they all gone to? How should I know? She picked up the last piece with her fork and deftly popped it into her mouth. You miss them? Sort of. What about me? I am better than a stray dog. Another quote. Still don't know what series that is from. I didn't pay any special attention to it this time. Given that you're some kind of cat, you're definitely got your quotes right. Are you feeling lonely? Well, I'm not alone here. Just the two of us. But if what had happened didn't happen, we maybe... I stopped for a moment. So in other realities, you and me weren't so, close? Yulya finished for me. Yes. No. It's strange. Why? Well, because there are a lot of camps, and as you say, and according to the theory of probability, which means that everything that happened within the last 2 days is really something exceptional. You say that as if it's bad. Of course not. I felt the blood rush to my head. Just strange. There are a lot of strange things here. That's why I use that word so often. Anyway, you're just nitpicking. Who? Me? Never! She laughed. No, you're seriously nitpicking, especially when it comes to words. Why would I do that? I can't even imagine. You'd know better. Seems like for any of my arguments you already had an answer prepared, as if you knew in advance what I would say. Forget it. So, let's go. Where? I realized that saying this was a big mistake. Now she'll definitely drag me back to that sack. Well, there is enough time till the bus arrives, so we could... Oh right, the supplies! I just scratched my chin and followed her. Epic fail. Carrying nearly 25 kilos is not easy, even for a short distance. I stopped every 15 meters to rest. Yulya hurried and encouraged me, but it was just making things worse. I don't know if I deserved a medal in some strange sack of cat girl supply short distance carrying event, but about an hour later, the sack was transported to the bus stop. I collapsed beside it, exhausted. That's it! You're such a hero, see? Nothing to be afraid of. My whole body ached, my muscles burned, and a river of sweat flowed from my forehead, stinging in my eyes. I don't know what reward I was owed for this, but this competition was more like the Olympics for mentally challenged people. Though I won, I'm still a retard. Dude, what? Jesus. And that's the thing though, they haven't had this kind of conversation except for the Miku path, but so you can really tell that this guy doesn't normally think so. This is a writer point of view, not a character point of view. Look, the bus is coming. What? I jumped up, my fatigue vanished in an instant. Something could indeed be seen in the distance. I narrowed my eyes and saw the Icarus. But why? Yulya told me that it would arrive closer to the night. Moreover, I expected Elias' bus. Soon the bus stopped in front of us and the door opened, inviting us in. The driver's seat was empty, but I was not really surprised. Much stranger things had happened here. Coming? Yulya easily jumped onto the first step and gestured for me to follow her. Do you think it's weird that buses go by themselves? Well, she thought about that. Of course it is strange, but you said yourself that there are plenty of strange things here. Yes, she was right on that one. Anyway, I had no choice. In either case, whether I stay or whether I go on the bus, I'm not sure about what will come next. But in case of the second choice, I had at least an illusory hope of escaping from this camp. I sighed, and with one last effort lifted the sack and got onto the bus. We drove for about an hour. Yulya was constantly chattering about something, but I wasn't listening. I carefully studied the passing landscapes through the window. Forests, fields, river, forests, fields, absolutely nothing suspicious. On the one hand, this gave me some hope, but on the other, it was a sign that in the end nothing will change, because in this world it seems everything is slow and measured, following its well-established rules. That's how it was at least a few days ago. Although maybe I shouldn't be drawing conclusions after having been there only a week. Well, now I'm for sure everything will be fine. I looked at her carefully. Cat ears, a long tail that moved rhythmically back and forth, slightly enlarged fangs. Yulya seemed like a character from a fairy tale. I can decide what to do with her in the real world later. I was turning into one big throbbing vein, ready to burst in a moment. I was waiting for how this will end. The result could be anything. For me, it was important not to go crazy ahead of time. My nerves were stretched to the limit and I tried not to think about anything. But it was impossible to distract myself. Hey, are you even listening? Huh? No, sorry, I was deep in thought. Well, as always, she pouted. Now is such a big moment, you know. We can get out of this camp. So it's a very important moment for me. Well, it's important for me too, but I'm not worried. You simply can't see this in context. What do you mean? Before I lived in a different world, the real one as it seemed. So I have something to compare this camp to. And you, we can say, were born here. No, I wasn't. How do you know? I just know. I know that. The bus peacefully bounced over the bumps, and shaking me more and more. The steering wheel was turning on its own, and I soon stopped noticing the absence of a driver. My eyes began to close and I dozed off. Some girl bent over me. She was gently whispering something in my ear. So tenderly that... I felt a strong blow to the head. Boom! Yeah! Hey, don't sleep! Am I disturbing you? I asked in annoyance, rubbing the bruised place. You're not listening to me. If we escape from here, we'll have lots of time for conversation. And if we don't escape, then we will have even more time. I tried to smile, but just thinking that we wouldn't ever leave this camp frightened me a lot. So I just gave a stupid grin. It's better if we don't escape, because in your world, I don't know what to expect there, but you won't pay any attention to me at all. I will, I promise. I hugged her sincerely. Really truly? Really truly. Yulya leaned against me. And you listen to me? Of course. And you'll always agree with me? Sure. She pulled away and looked into my eyes. Well then, I forgive you. A loud laugh filled the bus cabin. But be careful, don't forget about that, or try to deceive me. Want to sign a contract? A marriage contract? I don't have the property for that anyway. But I do. Yulya pointed on the bag lying in this aisle. Well then. I tried to remember what I bought with my money. Here. I took my mobile phone out of my pocket. But by this time I was already out of charge. What's that? Yulya asked curiously, taking the mobile. A very useful thing in my world. You can communicate with people at a distance. Wow, that's really cool. Excellent, that will do. She put the mobile on the seat. Deal then. My supplies for the winter are from me, and from you is that thing. Okay, deal. Alright, now we are husband and wife. She smiled slyly. Hey, wait. I suddenly remembered that all this conversation had started with a marriage contract. Anyway, without an official registration. When we get to your world, we will register our marriage. And a man without a wife is like a kitchen without a knife. If we get there, of course. Yulya said nothing, but just stared straight forward with her eyes wide open. What does this mean? I followed her gaze and realized that the bus was full of people. All of them were wearing pioneer uniforms, and they all looked exactly like that pioneer. Nobody said a single word. They just looked silently in my direction. I could not see their faces. Clothes, statues, yes, but their faces were shrouded in shadows that seemed to appear from nowhere. It was as if instead of the heads that normal people have, they had many black holes. I started to shiver and my back broke out in goosebumps. Yulya squeezed my hand. With enormous effort I forced myself to look at her. She was very scared too. If I was alone at that moment I would have probably fainted. But right now I was responsible for more than only my own life. Who are you? I gritted out with difficulty. The pioneers maintained a terrifying silence. It became hard to breathe. I was gasping for breath, but my brain refused to work on low oxygen, and I lost consciousness for a moment. Who are you? What do you want? I heard Yulya shout just as I regained my senses. A pioneer stood up from the first seat and walked towards us. Hi, Semyon. We have decided to get back home too. Two. A chorus of voices filled the bus. Is all of them me? Is that really what's happening here? We'll keep you company. I didn't know what to say. This was the strangest situation I had yet experienced in this camp. Neither Yulya, nor the city, nor the disappearance of pioneers, nor this strange person standing before me were comparable with this. I asked you a question! Seems like Yulya was still able to speak clearly. Not a surprise, in the end she was still, you could say, an extraordinary being. I repeat, we are just going home. His voice sounded frantic. Are we bothering you? Bothering. What do you want from us? Nothing at all. Nothing. I don't believe you. I know there's a reason for you to be doing all this. It's just your imagination, animal. Maybe I am an animal, but what are you? A ghost? A shadow? Maybe. Ghosts have their rights too. You have the rights to get the hell out of here! Yulya shouted so loud that my ears rang, but neither the pioneer nor his companions reacted. I guess we'll stay, he said maliciously. But how did you manage this? And all the others? At last I gathered the strength to speak. It's simple, my dear friend. Collective mind. Heard about it? And? So? Every one of us wanted to wish you luck simultaneously. That's all. Luck. In person, I would say. That's the reason we are here. But what will happen next? Honestly, I have no idea. Get out! Yulya shouted again. Be cool, you. Settle down. You see, he addressed me again. I don't want to hide anything from you. You have a good chance to get out of here now. I don't know exactly why, but your actions broke the cycle. Cycles, to be precise. All our cycles. And there is a chance that we won't have to leave the camp every 7 days to return back to on the 8th, waking up in this bus. Then don't return, just die! It's not that simple. And why shouldn't we have a sense of self-preservation? We should, right? He asked the pioneers. Should. I heard their response. So we decided to keep you company. Now, either we will all get out of here together, or we will all vanish forever together, or start another cycle. All 3 options suits us. And what if we die because of you? Well, you won't die alone. We'll die with honor. Honor. Or do you think that our lives... He laughed. Well, what we call lives. Lives. Are they not as important as yours? Yulya did not know how to answer. And don't think that all of us are here. In fact, many more of us didn't fit in, but there were enough tickets for everyone. You! Yulya hissed. It's too late. I suggest you calm down and enjoy the flight. Stewardesses will offer you food and drinks in a couple of minutes. He grinned and went back to his place. Yulya jumped up, but I stopped her. Let me go, I'll take him down! No need. What can you do to him? What good will it do? She looked at me in surprise, but sat down. So what? Are you suggesting we don't do anything and just wait? What can we do? I don't know, but we shouldn't just be sitting here. I learned one thing for sure in this camp. Very little is up to me. Actually nothing at all, especially now, especially here. I have not the slightest idea what to do to drive them out of here, but even if I knew, I'm sure that nothing would change. Nothing would affect the final outcome. You may be right, Yulya said in a sad voice. We can only wait them. It won't take long. She put her head on my shoulder. We had been going for such a long time, it seemed like an eternity. The sun had set, the night fell. Seconds lasted for hours, minutes, for years. The pioneers remained dead silent, and even that one, the arrogant one, didn't try to start a conversation. The silence was louder than any shouts. A quiet clap would be enough to make my eardrums explode. Me and Yulya stayed silent too. Everything had been said today. There were no words left. I felt totally empty. My head was as heavy as lead, and it seemed that I was already dead. But God and the devil had just forgotten about me, so I would have to spend the rest of eternity alone with this silent mass of pioneers. Are they really my colleagues in misfortune? Did they really come to this camp too, spend a week here and then leave? And then do it all over again? Maybe it would be the same for me, as that pioneer said. Anything is possible. Anything is possible now. I heard a quiet snoring from Yulya. She'd fallen asleep. All the stress must have been too much for her. Or maybe she used up all her energy shouting. In any case, it's better to face the end while sleeping. Now I was absolutely certain that this was the end. It's stupid to cling to the hope while standing on the edge of a cliff, surrounded by countless enemies. And even if there was the smallest chance of rescue, you wouldn't really think about it. Maybe it shouldn't be this way and someone else would have more optimism in my place. I just had to take the last step. Why though? These are not stairs, but an escalator. It will get me to the finish in any case. I closed my eyes and my consciousness left me at once. I fell asleep. I don't know whether it would last for an hour or for eternity. And the music is dying out, so we're now actually getting to the end here. This was far longer than I expected, honestly. Emptiness is not the best place for thoughts. When there is nothing, The essence of the normal world disappears. In the end, thoughts are parts of it too, just an immaterial one. It is difficult to imagine where existence ends. A person is not supposed to figure it out. I regained consciousness in complete darkness. To be precise, I regained the ability to perceive myself as a person. There was nothing else, neither around nor inside me. That's an interesting image. It was like I ceased to exist, was erased from the universe, but I wasn't dead, no. It was totally different, as if I had moved from three-dimensional space to one-dimensional, the whole world compressed to the size of one dot. That dot was me, was everything. I was everything and at the same time was nothing. However, my consciousness, my memories, my soul went into that tiny patch too. I wasn't afraid. Maybe because there was no need, or maybe because I still couldn't understand what was happening. All sense of time was lost here. There was simply no such term here. That's why it was impossible to tell how long it had been in that emptiness. Finally, after an hour or a year, I started to hear a quiet voice. I couldn't make out the words, but I was the one it spoke to. Actually, there was no one else. Semyon. Semyon. Yes? I replied as if answering the phone. Nice to meet you. The voice sounded very close. We've known each other for a long time though. Who are you? I am you. Did I die? No, nothing like that. The voice sounded calm, as if speaking to an old friend. What's happening to me? You have reached the end of your path. What path? You have managed to leave the camp. Camp? Yes, I remember. The Soviet pioneer camp. Suddenly I remember the last 7 days. I remembered how I was leaving there, together with Yulya. Where is Yulya? Yes. She's right here. I looked around, but there was only emptiness around. I don't see her. You shouldn't see. You should feel. It wasn't tense at all, as if I was recovering from anesthesia. I don't feel anything. You just have to remember. After these words, thousands of pictures, images, smells, thoughts reappeared in my mind. The camp. I was there for real, with Slavia, with Lena, with Alyssa, with Uliana, with Masha, and then... Oh, so they even say that Masha is a real character. She's part of the main timeline. Good, because I was thinking that maybe she wasn't. And then, but how? I clearly remember that I left it and came back to the real world. And then I met Slavia at the bus stop. No, I met Uliana at the university. No, I met Alyssa at the concerts. But I had lived with Lena for so many years. No, I had a completely different life with Masha. How is all that even possible? I remembered events of almost 5 lifespans in the smallest of details, but everything happened simultaneously, and I'm sure that it was all real. How? Yes, all that really happened to you. But how? You left the camp, not just once. Then you lived your normal life, then you came back and left again. So was it like I died and I was revived? No. You can't think of that it all happened simultaneously. I don't understand. You don't need to. And who were those other pioneers? They are you too. The other sides of you. I don't understand. Every person is an endless universe. His own actions determine how his life will proceed. You remember those 5 times because those were times you took choices that led you out of the camp. Your other replicas acted differently somewhere. That's it. It's all that simple. Oh! Interesting. So, yeah. The entire thing, I started to play this game because I wanted to show you how a harem ending is supposed to go. And this binds into that. But you are saying that the only correct endings are the good endings. The bad endings that didn't happen for this guy. Okay, interesting. Because I have, for all of these years, for the last decade since that I remember this, have been under the impression that everything, every single time we played this game, it was all part of one singular dream. Every single run and everything. All the good and all the bad. That's why I wanted to do all the good and all the bad endings. Because everything that can happen in the game is one dream for this guy. But they are basically saying that only the good endings is what happens to the end, to the last Semyon. For me, it wasn't that simple. And what is this camp? You can consider it a testing ground. And who are you? I am you, but from long time after. Not time as you see it. I am beyond and above all of you. You can consider me the prime Semyon. So you are the reason for all this? That's not exactly true. Everything did not happen according to my will, but I can control these events. But why? Are you against it? I lost myself in thought, at least as lost as was possible in such an obscure state as mine. I don't know. If you were given an option now, when you know and remember everything, will you really decide to take it back to the start and just forget everything? I don't know. I wasn't ready to answer just such a difficult question. Anyway, where is Yulya? She is right here. Where? Inside of you. How's that? Yulya is your inner world, your consciousness which had gained a form. I couldn't comprehend his words. You don't need to try to understand. I already said. But I felt that I missed her. Don't be afraid. She will always be with you. I don't think I wanted this exact union just yesterday. The hardest thing is to make inner peace, not peace with an enemy. And you have done it. If you want to love her, you have to learn how to love yourself. Well, that's enough for you. It's time for me to leave. Wait, what will happen to me? You'll go back. I had already didn't understand what was real and what was not, or how many realities there are. Where to? It depends only on you. I don't understand. You have remembered all possible variations of events now. Okay, so everything is part of the same event. He paused for a long time and I didn't dare to say anything, just so I wouldn't accidentally interrupt him. So, you have at least 5 options. Will I remember all this? That's up to you to decide. A trace of emotion appears in this voice for a moment, maybe joy or maybe dissatisfaction. Farewell. But I could feel that the voice will never speak to me again. Time passed. I tried to decide what to do next. If everything is as he said, then I just have to wish. By that time I had completely calmed down and could even say cheered up a bit. I was totally sure that I had got out of that enchanted camp. Moreover, a bright future awaited me. I didn't know it, I remembered it. But what should I choose? I closed my eyes and clearly imagined Slavia smiling at me. She was always willing to help me and never scolded me for anything. It is always calm and safe being with her. At that meeting at the bus stop, I guess I never thought about being with her in real life. But that would be amazing, I'm sure. Throughout so many years, Lena had grown truly precious to me. I actually remember all that time spent with her. I remember our kids, remembered time of joy and sorrow, remembered everything. It is hard to reject all that. Or Elissa, dearly hugging her guitar. It's never boring with her. Maybe that's the life I've always dreamed of. Simply laid back and fun. Maybe that's the girl I always wished for. A loyal tomboy. Alyssa's image in my thoughts smiled slyly. A grown-up Uliana seemed like a good option too. Of course, back in the camp I didn't treat her as a woman, but now, obviously, She's got her cons, but at the same time there was a sense of magic in her, something attractive. And of course Miku, Masha from that other life. She was truly precious to me. Maybe back there, the camp is just a small episode and I might be a completely different person from myself in all the other paths. But that's for the best. New opportunities, possibilities, and that person I love. A person who is seemingly knew my entire life. But it is still sad that I will never see Yulya again. You certainly will. Her voice sounded in my head. What? Where are you? I am right here, like you said. You knew? No, I only understood it only when I came here. Are you okay with it? Won't you miss me? Of course not. I will always be with you. Do you remember your promise? What promise? That you will always be with me. Yes. Don't ever think to break it. I'll be watching you. I don't know if I will ever speak to her like that again. Maybe one could simply go nuts from that. But right now, I was happy. Alright, I won't forget. Then you just have to make a choice. I felt Yulya disappear, vanishing in the labyrinth of my mind. Well, it's time. I closed my eyes and... what? My eyes were struck by the bright sunlight. Nothing surprising about that. It is summer after all. It's that strange dream again. Why did I start seeing it so often recently? Maybe there is a reason. Still, why? A pioneer camp, some girls, the camp leader. I had never been to the camp. Maybe you just don't remember. Very funny. But what if? Trust me, I clearly remember everything that happened to me since I was 3 years old. And before that I was probably at an unconscious age. Even if that is true, all of this is not accidental. Why is it not accidental? There are people who see a black cat in their dreams every night and nothing happens. You just made that up. I haven't made up anything. I read about it recently. A black cat is one thing. Such a detailed dream is something else. I don't see much difference. Okay, then what will you say about that voice? What voice? Don't play the fool. Wasn't planning to. Which told you to make a choice? Well, a voice. So what? There was a reason. But I don't remember anything else. The dreams end there. Maybe you forget it when you wake up. But maybe. But what? That means that you're actually made a choice. I don't even remember the options. Were there any? There should have been. You don't even try to be serious about the important things, as always. Oh my god, it's so important. There's no point in talking to you. Recently I started to notice that I have something like a split personality. An inner monologue is certainly a normal phenomenon for any person, but when it turns into dialogue, well, it's still a long way from being a clinical case, because I talk to myself and not another personality inside my head. Maybe with my own subconscious. Yulya. Okay. However, that is not important. Choose Yulya, choose Slavia, choose Alista, choose Lena, choose Juliana, choose Masha. We're gonna make a quick save here. And we're going through them one at a time. We chose Yulya. And there she is. I turn over to the other side. The bright sun is still shining into my eyes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, I replied. Oh, so Yulya is still inside my head. Choice? Did I even have a choice? Every story has its beginning and its end. But we're not going there just yet. Is it always going to be the same? The same monologue, I mean, dialogue? I turn over to the other side, the bright sun still shining into my eyes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, I replied. Choice? Did I even have a choice? Yes, it's always the same. But it's nice that that is how it works, you know. That's a lot of hair. Oh, Miku's gonna have a lot of hair too. Miku? Yeah, Miku. Yeah. I turn over to the other side. The bright sun is still shining into my eyes. Good morning. Wait. Huh? Yulya disappeared there. She was in everyone else. Good morning, I replied. Wait, what? Masha... Oh shit, that was that her thing even? Good morning. Yulya disappears when you choose Masha. That is interesting. I don't know what that means, but I know that choosing Masha was kind of a bad thing, honestly, in my opinion, because he never really liked her. Every story has its own beginning, and its end. Every story has its canvas, synopsis, contents, key moments, prologue and epilogue. And there is no book that rereading it will not reveal new details you hadn't noticed before. But every book has a last page, and after turning it over, we put the book on the shelf. Just open a new one tomorrow. Interesting. I wonder if it changes when I go with Masha though. So I guess I'll try that as well. Interesting that Yulya disappears when Masha is when we choose Masha. And replied, choose, did I even have a choice? Every story has a beginning and its end. Every story has its canvas, synopsis, contents, key moments, prologue and epilogue, and there is no book that rereading it would not reveal new details you hadn't noticed before, but every book has a last page, and after turning it over, we put the book on the shelf. Just open a new one tomorrow. No, okay, that's the same. But Yulya disappears when you choose Masha. So by choosing to not listen to her, not to listen to ourselves, is the only way we can end up with Masha. That is interesting. But yeah, I have gone through this with all the girls as it happened, except for Miku, because I don't know what she represents until now, basically. But I do believe that depending on who your favorite girl is, it means it reflects on you as a character. It's an hypothesis, honestly, so I don't know if I'm dead wrong or if I'm maybe even being mean or whatever. But if, for example, if you like Slavia, then maybe you just want someone to be there for you, to always have your back, things like that. Maybe that's something you want, or maybe you can identify yourself in Slavia. It's either that you want that from life or that you have that already. I think it's one of those two, and that the girls represent different things in your life that you can do. Why did it become a list? Oh, all the girls. That they represent something within each one of us, essentially. So yeah, we have different favorites because of who we are as people and what we are missing, or how secure we are in who we are.